I asked hunters one simple question. What rifle do you regret buying the most? And the answers poured in, from budget rifles all the way to rifles that cost thousands of dollars. But here's the twist. Not only did I hear about the worst rifles, but a lot of people also told me about the best rifles. These are the ones that they would buy again tomorrow with zero hesitation. So in this video, I thought it'd be fun to break it into two categories. We'll talk about the top 3 worst rifles that hunters regret buying the most, and then we're going to talk about the top 3 that they trust the most. And I'll be honest, some of these picks really surprised me. Now, none of these are my opinions. These all come from the community. I went to Facebook groups, to Instagram, to hunting forums, and overall I got about 100 responses, which I know isn't a big pool, but I figured it was enough to at least make this video because the top answer for each category won by a landslide. Now, the top 3 regrets, and we're going to start with number 3, and that is Savage. Now, this one actually surprised me because I know a lot of people personally that love Savage. Some of the common complaints I was hearing in this survey were hit or miss quality control issues, rough actions, and cheap stocks. Now, I will note most of these complaints were geared towards some of the lower end, more budget-friendly Savage models, because I did get quite a few guys commenting about their Savage rifles towards the other end being one of the more trusted brands out there, but all the models that they were shooting were a little bit more expensive, a little more higher end, and so that might have something to do with it. Now, I don't have a ton of experience personally with Savage. Right now, I only own one Savage rifle, and it's pretty good. I think a good thing with Savage is there is really good aftermarket support for those rifles. They are very popular, and they can be super accurate when you do get a good one. It was super interesting seeing a lot of the responses about Savage in this survey. Plenty of people were defending them, but enough people said never again that it unfortunately made the list. But I don't want to harp on Savage too much because, again, I own a Savage. I actually really like it. There is a specific Savage model I've got my eye on right now. And I want to get to the next 2. Coming in at number 2 is Fierce. Now, I'm not saying Fierce can't make a really good rifle. In fact, I almost bought a Fierce. And let's be honest, Fierce isn't exactly giving their rifles away. They are kind of a little more on the expensive end. And you would think for the price tag, they would have a lot better quality control. That's at least what most of the comments were talking about. Inconsistent accuracy, quality control issues, and then when they did reach out to customer service, they were of little to no help. That being said, I do think Fierce makes a very good looking rifle, and I do like a lot of the options they offer. But for the price tag, I think hunters expect a bit more. It doesn't matter how good a rifle looks. If there are quality control issues, if there are accuracy issues, if a gun isn't performing the way it should, there's going to be a problem. And a lot of people said Fierce just simply doesn't deliver consistently. But of course, there were some people in the comments defending Fierce as well. But there is one company that cracked the top 3 and made it to number 1 that I'm not sure I saw anybody defending. And this is one I honestly kind of would have guessed to make this list, and one of the reasons I'm making this video. Because coming in at number 1 is Christensen Arms. Now, no hate to Christensen. I've actually don't think I've ever even shot a Christensen rifle. And to be fair, Christensen Arms is one that I think deserves a lot of credit. But when it came to this specific survey, Christensen Arms had more votes than every other rifle brand combined. So in a landslide, Christensen takes the top spot for people that said they would never buy from this brand again. And the complaints were all over the board, from wandering accuracy to quality control issues to very frustrating customer service experiences. Again, it doesn't really surprise me to see Christensen as number 1 on this list. I do know one guy in particular that I work with that has a Christensen rifle, and he loves it, and it's very accurate for him. But it seems like as far as hunting rifle brands go, this is the company that tends to pump out the most amount of lemons, more than any other. And let's be real, every single hunting rifle company is going to, at some point or another, put out a bad rifle. Something's going to fall through the gap, and it's just going to happen. But when it comes to Christensen, it just seems like that is kind of the norm and not the exception. And so Christensen Arms, number one on the list of the top rifles that hunters regret buying. So now that we've gone over the worst, let's go over the best, because like I said, my question was posed as what is the worst rifle companies that you regret buying from? And it seemed like for every one answer I got for that, somebody would chime in on what they do enjoy. So we're going to go over the top 3 most trusted rifle brands out there. Going to the top 3, we're going to start at number 3 again, and that is Seekins. Now, this is a brand I have been seeing a lot of lately and gets a ton of good reviews. Sure, they might be some of the more pricier options here on our list. For all the value and things that are packed into those things, you are pretty much getting a semi-custom rifle for an excellent price. Now, the only reasons I can think of to why Seekins isn't higher on this list is just because of that price tag and the fact maybe they aren't as well known as other brands out there. But to see them in the top 3 is pretty incredible if you ask me. Moving on to number 2, this is the one that actually really surprised me and one that I do have experience with, and that is Ruger. Now, I love Ruger firearms. I own multiple guns from Ruger, and I usually have never had any issues with them. They've been very inexpensive, very reliable, very rugged, and generally can shoot really well. That being said, I recently did run into an issue with the Ruger American Predator. Chambered in .308, you probably have seen it here on the channel before. This rifle is my father's, and we just could not get that gun to shoot. We were running into accuracy issues, and so we reached out to Ruger. They were super easy to work with, sent the rifle back. They have it right now. Actually, I think it should be here this week, but overall, Ruger was super easy to work with. And I think we just got a lemon, unfortunately, which again, like I said, is just gonna sometimes happen. Overall, I think Ruger is pretty consistent in what they do offer. I think a lot of their rifles are a great bang for your buck and generally trend towards the budget side of things and can offer incredible accuracy for the price. But just like Christensen dominated the worst category, there is one rifle brand that completely killed it when it came to the most trusted rifle brands. And if you watch my channel, you probably know what brand that is. It's sitting right here, and that is Tikka. I saw more positive comments about Tikka than any other rifle brand combined. And again, this was a survey about the worst rifle brands, yet there were more responses praising Tikka than anything else. And honestly, it's easy to see why. The actions on these are just buttery smooth. They are crazy accurate. If you saw some of my other videos, the accuracy I'm getting out of this thing is nothing short of impressive. Right out of the box, I put 2 shots through this thing to make sure we were on paper, and then the first 3-shot group was under an inch. And this thing consistently shoots under an inch with factory ammo, which for me, I've never been the greatest shooter in the world, and to be getting that kind of accuracy with a factory rifle is amazing. So honestly, no surprise to see Tikka on this list, and this survey wasn't even about the best rifle brands, it was about the worst. But enough people commented to just buy a Tikka and forget about it that I figured I had to highlight it. I do, however, have a video coming out in the near future about Tikka and some of the downsides to these rifles, because as much as I love Tikka, they aren't perfect. But I am very happy to see it at the top of this list, and I agree 100% with it being one of the best and most reliable brands out there. But that's just my opinion and the opinion of a few others. Now I want to hear from you. Leave me a comment down below. What is a rifle brand you would never buy from again? Or what's one you trust no matter what? Leave me a comment down below, guys. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you and all the support. Catch you in the next one.